You're tuned in to Steve Megatron on Altered Geek.
Altered Geek. Get altered. Geek. Altered Geek. From Star Wars to Star Trek, comics to tech. Altered Geek. Get altered. Geek. Altered Geek. Pull up a chair 'cause you're an altered geek.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek. I'm your host Steve Megatron Phillips, and I'm not joined by anybody this week. I kind of wanted to do an episode solo. I'm gonna kind of flip-flop it back and forth. I'm not really sure what order I'm gonna do it in. But yeah, so as you may know, there are many places you can get this podcast now, one of which is on alteredgeek.com, thisweekingeek.net, and of course geekcastradio.com, Blog Talk Radio, the RSS feed, and so on and so forth. Enhancing the distribution seems to be helping. So gonna get this out of the way real quick to be sure to visit our sponsor, lootcrate.com/GCRN using coupon code TBV. This month's theme is build. Well, not build, but it's primal. Almost kind of like Optimus Primal. So it says, the roar in the distance is a call. Will you answer it? This month we're going primal and unleashing the beasts of some of pop culture's most ferocious franchises. This savagely sweet collection has items from Overwatch, Wolverine, Jurassic Park, and Predator, and includes, as always, a monthly tee and pin. Would have liked to have seen Beast Wars, because, it's kind of primal there. Rounding bout. You have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive this month's crate. And when the cutoff happens, that's over. It's out. It's game over. So be sure to visit our sponsor to help out the show. And if you feel so inclined, there's a donate button on the Geekcast Radio homepage. So there's that too. So yeah, I've been looking over the last week of not only the listener comments, but of geeky news. And there's quite a bit. Not sure how much of it I'm going to get to, but there's quite a bit. So, starting off, I'm going to wait for the listener comments just because, I'm not really sure where I'm going to go with that yet. So since last episode with the PewDiePie and YouTube controversy, Disney savagely whittled down its Maker Studios business. What does this mean? Polygon reports that the studio is set to lay off. It says the studio noted this move has been in the works for some time before PewDiePie and Wildwood's controversial content. It cost to make a partnership with Maker Studios. As a result, Disney will stop promoting various YouTubers' channels and won't sell any more ads. Although it hasn't broken down just who this will affect and when. The company wants to support around 300 YouTubers in all, cutting down from their close to 60,000. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit different. My take on this is, one, they want to distance themselves and have a small group that they can manage. Two is they want some YouTube stars under its Disney banner, because they want to incorporate remaining YouTube stars under their for work within other divisions. My guess is so they can incorporate them in other programming that they're doing, and also to easily promote projects or products because they're already a part of the network. It's called synergy. So Disney's been struggling for a long time trying to figure out how to make a much bigger amount of money from the YouTube talent. This will help narrow it down to what they want to do. So, that's going to be a little odd duck there for a while. But speaking of Disney and products that they have synergy with, Marvel Comics editor-in-chief teases new Hulk-Wolverine hybrid. And when I saw this, it's kind of interesting because it's like a tube, like a almost like a well, it's like a growing tube, or like one of the tanks in Star Wars, or the restoration chambers in Dragon Ball Z. But this thing says under construction. It's got two scientists standing nearby. It says Batch H, and it's got this big gray Hulk with adamantium skeleton and Wolverine claws protruding from it. So I was not aware that Wolverine has been a Hulk before. But yeah, it says that they're not really divulging too much information on this, but I'm wondering if this is either a clone or they merged the dead bodies of Banner and Logan or what. But I guess time will tell. I'm kind of interested by this take only because I like Wolverine, so it's kind of not a no-brainer there for me. I do want to see Logan. I haven't seen it yet, obviously, because it's not out. But even for the fact that it's rated R, I still want to see it because if it wasn't Wolverine, I probably wouldn't care. But I want to see how he goes out, and there's Professor X, and then X-23 or 24 in the movie, whatever they're calling the characters. So I'll be interested to see that. And then, of course, DC's bringing back more of their speedsters, like Jay Garrick and Reverse Flash. So I'm not quite sure what DC's doing, but they've also revealed Batman's secret role in DC Rebirth and how he's setting up basically the Bat family into all their different directions and causing them to basically get his own teams put together all over the place. And so and Tim Drake figures it out, which I definitely see as a Batmanism, that he's running the machinations behind the background. And then, of course, more superhero news. CW DC TV producer talks doing a proper 4-show crossover, not the 3 that they did, next season. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see what they kind of pull with that one. It'd be nice if they kind of merged Supergirl over, but it's kind of nice having it secluded, too, at the same time. Trying to figure out where else to go. Logan might be getting a black and white version, which I think could be really cool with the way it's set up. So that could be a cool feature if they go that route. Matt Reeves has final say on DCEU's Dark Knight. So apparently, while he was in negotiations with Warner Brothers, one of the big stipulations was he wanted complete creative control of the project, similar to what James Wan appears to have with Aquaman, and Warner was hesitant to do so, but in final negotiations, they gave him the final say in all things on the Batman, which I think is kind of a smart move because, I mean, he's done, granted, I hated Cloverfield, but he did that. He's done Planet of the Apes franchise movies, which I have enjoyed those. So I do have... To me, honestly, it breaks down to story, no matter who's directing. I mean, yeah, I wasn't a fan of the Snyder version of setting up the universe, but it's not going to really change all that much color palette. But I think that the visuals will be a lot nicer to portray in the Batman. So I'll give the guy a shot. I mean, that's no problem there. And then, of course, there's been Boss Logic video or graphics floating around the internet the last, I don't know, couple days. One of them is of Emma Stone playing Batgirl is a kind of joking thing, and then somebody put like Zac Efron and as Nightwing, or a couple other actors as Nightwing, like in different scenarios. it's interesting. And then they've got various other things of Boss Logic's displayed for people. And they've got Hal Jordan art and a lot of superheroes anyway. And then speaking of that, they have Russell Crowe Boss Logic graphic as Cable, which actually looks pretty sweet. So the only thing that would be a little confusing is he was like Jor-El in Man of Steel. So yeah, it'll be a little bit different. But I mean, it wouldn't be the first time certain people have crossed over to different, genres. Daredevil, Batman, so on. So yeah, it'd be kind of cool. The Last Jedi had some reshoots, obviously because of Carrie Fisher, and then Abrams is joking that Mark Hamill should win an Oscar, which I think that it's going to be, I don't know. I'm not really sure what to think about that, because I think it's just clickbait garbage, but at the same time, I think Hamill deserves a shot at it if, the movie needs it. But the last time a Star Wars movie was nominated for an Oscar and was when Alec Guinness in the original Star Wars, and he was nominated and he didn't get it, but if they're going that route, technically, then that would mean that he's giving a death performance possibly, or just a really good performance. But I don't know. That's what I parallel to. I hope not, but yeah. So there's been some recent interesting news as far as organizations wanting to cancel currency and go to basically a digital currency and getting rid of cash, as it were. Which I can see as a good thing and a bad thing. A good thing in the sense that banks, if you carry cash and you go to put it in your account, are like, where'd you get the money? Blah, 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 blah. You have to play 50 steps with them, or people can seize your money or steal it. But if it's digital, then all it takes is a virus or somebody to have some kind of a digital hack of some kind, and then they can steal all your money anyway. So either way, it is kind of a weird situation. I don't totally trust cashless though. I like cashless for convenience, but I don't know if I would want to go that route. If you kind of get my drift there. So 20th Century Fox is looking into getting newish movies trickle downloaded onto your phone, so you can watch them later. And it says the studios partnered with Australian mobile network Telstra and Ericsson to test a mobile app that quietly pulls down flicks for watching offline later on, assuming at least that you pay the requisite fee to unlock the film that's quietly occupying space on your smartphone. The theoretical system would work by gently downloading movies onto devices in the background, with users paying a fee to unlock them. It says that it would be pushed over the network at no charge to the consumer. After all, you're going to pay for the movie, packed with very tight DRM wrappers, so it would seem bad to make you pay for the delivery as well. It says, according to The Verge, the experiment won't use the network at all. Instead, testers are being handed a Galaxy S7 with the films preloaded. So far, the films that are offered are The Martian, Deadpool, and The Revenant. But the idea is that eventually there will be a broad catalog of titles that will filter onto your device automatically based on your movie watching preferences, basically like TiVo or Buzzwords. I kind of like this idea. But it would depend on the price cost to unlock them. I don't like the idea of it auto-downloading movies onto my phone, unless I specifically, but I guess that if it's in an app, then, it would kind of depend. It would depend on how much they're wanting to charge to put these on your device. That's kind of my or to unlock them, I should say. So, so it's been 2 years of Leonard Nimoy's passing. He died in 2015. So I've seen a lot of that floating around the internet lately. I did watch the documentary of Spock by Adam Nimoy. Really good documentary, and they took it from the perspective of Spock and kind of explaining Star Trek and the evolution of the character through the years and how crazy their life was. So I mean, it's definitely a must watch. I saw it on Netflix. It's really interesting to see a lot of the behind the scenes and a lot of the stuff that went on in their life and how this character was crafted and how it evolved over the years. So yeah. And then, of course, there was, as people will know that have listened to the show, I liked the David S. Pumpkins video that SNL did with Tom Hanks a while back. Bill Gates made a parody of it, of David S. Pumpkins, and it has him. It's David S. Pumpkins, but it's a Christmas version to promote his Reddit Ask Me Anything on Monday that he had. It's weird. The person that wrote this article on Gizmodo like hates the David S. Pumpkins thing. If you go to I'm David S. Pumpkins or I'm David Pumpkins, I can't remember which. I think it's I'm David Pumpkins .com. I think, yeah, I own I'm David Pumpkins.com, which goes to Alter Geek, because I thought it would be funny. So Bill Gates does this, and they completely they removed the pumpkins with Christmas, and then they have like completely this stuff with Tom Hanks is gone and replaced with Bill Gates. And then when he shows up next to the SNL characters, they kind of fit him in there really nicely. It's really funny if you know the original context. But the funnier parts is down in the comments section, people are doing the hand gestures, and they said Trunks did it better. And then they show like all the various like animes doing the hand gestures stuff, so it's entertaining. So I'm gonna be getting into Dragon Ball Super soon. I'm wondering if there's like a primer that I should do before I get into that. And I'm not quite sure where I should go. Because I've been a long time Dragon Ball Z fan, and I realize GT is utter garbage in comparison. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I've seen the latest Dragon Ball Z films where they do the Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Resurrection of F with Frieza and everything. And I know that's kind of the primer, but if there's anything relevant in the Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Kai, I should watch before I get into this to kind of refresh myself. Because I've not seen a lick of Dragon Ball Super. I have no idea what's going on, or what route they're taking on this. So I'm going to be catching up with that, and then hopefully getting with Birdman Dodd and doing the Cyber Dragon Ball podcast on it in the near future. So I think final like newsy type stuff that I have is like Star Trek Discovery's probable premiere and casting announcements. They are saying that it's going to premiere now in May of 2017. So, and that's like far cry from saying January and then February, and then they're like, oh, May. I'm still interested in watching it, but I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to take this because, again, it's changing the continuity of how things happened before Kirk, and it doesn't really fit in the the Prime universe. Like, yeah, anything flies in the Kelvin universe, but the Prime universe, it doesn't. So, and it's not that I have a problem with like female characters having power or being a captain or anything, because Janeway was freaking awesome. But I have a problem when they're making, because they didn't have female captains as far as it was explained between like Enterprise and like Kirk. It didn't really transpire until like post Enterprise B era. So I'm kind of curious to see what they do. I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with it or if I'm going to enjoy this. Yeah, I don't know that it's... Again, I don't know how I'm going to take this series. I'm going to have to wait and see how it actually is before I make any actual judgment of it, because right now it's just speculation. It's not... I haven't seen a lick of footage. Yeah, the graphic for the ship kind of sucked when the first promo was shot of that. And we really haven't gotten to see anything, which I wish we could actually see something for this and kind of put me at ease a little bit, but it's not really looking that way. But yeah, I'll be back right after this quick break with listener feedback. You want to interact with the show? Well, you can get a hold of us in the following ways. You can email us, feedback@alteredgeek.com, or you can fill out the form on the website on alteredgeek.com. You can also get on the episode post on alteredgeek.com and make your comments there. You can, of course, get a hold of us on the social media, Facebook @AlteredGeek, or on Twitter @AlteredGeek. And, of course, you can find the show on the following locations. You can get it on iTunes, on Google Play, on Stitcher, and on TuneIn, Blog Talk Radio, as well as AlteredGeek.com. And now, back to the show. So before I get into the listener comments, I just saw this article by... about Elon Musk, that he claims to be starting a commercial moon flight with SpaceX. I'd be interested in that just to see how well it goes, and honestly just to see more travel to the moon. Because if they could make it to the moon, it could make me more readily able to accept. And the only reason I say this is because we haven't been to the moon since the 70s. Granted, they've been there, you know. But the thing that irks me about space travel is, and I understand that everything is so far away, it's hard to get to in our lifetime, but why we haven't been back. And it's been like almost 50 years and we haven't been back to the moon. Like, that makes no sense. Like, there should have been a way that they had people ready to go back to the moon just kind of explore. I mean, honestly, that would be the way to go. And I'd be... I don't know, I think I could accept more of the space travel stuff if I could see them making a concerted effort to try and actually build out our space program to other methods besides just the space station, or besides just just stuff like that. I would like to see them do it, and I don't have any doubts that someday we may make it to, Mars. Maybe even in my lifetime. I don't know. Would I love to see that? Yes. I mean, regardless of my religious beliefs, I still love astronomy. I still love space. I think it's such an awesome thing in general. Like, I would love to see them make it to the moon, to Mars, to like anywhere in our solar system, to create warp drive. I mean, to do any of that. I love Star Trek, and so that's always fueled my love of that particular kind of science. And I guess this kind of goes right into the the comment from last week. And I'm not going to, like, backpedal or say anything like that. I looked after we had our little, scuffle on social media or on the website, and could not find a concrete scientist that has humored the 6,000 years. However, I have seen it where it's fluctuated, where they've said even the last 40,000 years. The general consensus is 4.5 billion years old, not the 60 billion that they had before. So the number is coming down. And they're basing the information off of a rock they found in northern Canada and comparing it with moon rocks, which, granted, we haven't been to the moon since the 60s, late 60s, early 70s. So I think it bears repeating the scientific process, because science is only deemed fact if it cannot be proven again. Or I should rephrase it. When it can be proven again, should not be. Because when you get to that method, it is a hypothesis. It is only fact if they can, without a shadow of a doubt, prove that hypothesis thoroughly, time and time again. And yes, I agree. It may have been me, it may have been Mike. I don't know, that it was probably me because I was on a rant. There were some other behind the scenes circumstances. Yes, it didn't say anything about water, but it says potential to have life and water. Which is fine and dandy. Would I love to see it happen? Yes. But I'm not trying to sound idiotic or plainly make myself look ignorant, naive, because I understand that, yes, they think they found this. But just from looking at it from a telescopic perspective does not make it fact. Can they say with, for the most part, the fact of the Earth with comparing it to the moon rocks? Possibly. Like, I could see that. If I could see that proved, I would be fine with it. Like, that's more concrete than looking 40 light years out, or 400 light years, or 4,000, whatever it was, and saying that these planets have the possibility of life. Just because it's similar to Earth does not mean that there is not life on other planets that are not like Earth. But science is not always true. The scientific process and hypothesis is true. And I understand that there are people that have spent decades of studying that field and that they know what they're doing, yes. But for you or I to say that we know without a shadow of a doubt that they are 100% factual is, as Spock would say, illogical, and using your own words, is ignorant and naive, because there will always be someone who will figure something else out, because as history has shown, there have been multiple people that come along and reinvent what has been previously proven as fact. And so therefore it makes the previous hypothesis and fact null and void. So as far as what they know now, yes, it may be true to them. But there may come someone who has better technology and better thought process behind it and figure out something completely different and prove that it is not fact. That was the point I was trying to make. It's not that they aren't correct, 100% wrong just because I have a religious belief. No, that's not what I was saying at all. I am the farthest from that. I'm somebody that likes to see proof put together in my head. And when I said the thing about the science, about written history and religion, I was comparing the notes of for instance, if you did the flood, that would be more apt than a meteor hitting the Earth and killing the dinosaurs. I could see that more so happening than the other. Not that a meteor couldn't hit the Earth, because it has happened. Do I see the Big Bang Theory as fact? No, because nobody was alive at that time. There's no recorded history. That is unprovable without a shadow of a doubt. Just like nobody can prove that God exists. Those both are key elements that it's a belief. If you're a scientist, you believe in the Big Bang Theory. If you're religious, you believe in God. That's the two different sides of that coin. So, that instance, you can't tell me that happened. But the things that are in the here and now, and you know, as far as like the NASA not capable, I believe that they do have the possibilities to do it if our governments could all work together and help them fund something truly spectacular. And then your kind of snide remark about me copying and pasting my response from Use This, where people try to disprove religion through science handbook. I was genuinely trying to make a conversation, not sound like a total dick about it. So that tells me that you're totally against religion. I'm not trying to single, and I'm not going to name. You can go check the episode post. But that, and I agree, science can be done poorly, and that's why it's studied and done by a large group of people over and over again. Yes, I completely agree with you. And improving technology. So, I do believe in that. I'm not one of the people that believes that we're killing our society, or in the sense of I'm not one of the people that thinks the Earth is flat, and I realized that I said about the killing our society, I was referencing in the fact that people can't work together long enough to make things actually happen that should happen. Like, if our governments could stop belly aching about politics and actually work together, much in the vein of Starfleet and the United Federation of Planets and Star Trek, there could be a lot of great things done technologically and in space and with science. So, and then as far as the, challenging my beliefs, I have no problem challenging beliefs, but it's when something can't be factually presented to me, and not just from some random article on the internet. Like, I would actually love to be put in contact with some kind of a scientist that I could have a conversation with on some of this stuff, because I think it would be interesting. And the thing about the food, I'm not confusing diets with science, because yes, diets are fads. That's not something that happens. But scientists help create part of the food that we do eat, because a lot of it's like remanufactured names for sugar, and people that manufacture this food, this processed garbage that we put into us, it is some form of science that they put this crap together. What I'm saying about the way food in affects us based on our environment and exercising and things like that in biology, I completely agree with that too, but my wife, having come from a 300-pound perspective and dropping down to the 150, like cut her size in half, it wasn't because of a diet. It was because she worked out. It's because she ate right. She quit eating processed crap. And the science behind eating correctly shows that it will help boost your body, not a diet, because a diet doesn't do anything. A lifestyle change does. And again, I'm going to have to, agree to disagree, because I don't really want to argue and turn this into a giant battle. I completely understand you're on the one side of the fence and I'm on the other side. It's probably not going to change. I don't believe in the Egyptians because, again, if you go according to biblically, the Israelites were around before the Egyptians, and so therefore the Egyptians copied to some degree what comes later. So, because it's always been talked about. So you can't prove that either. Like, that's... What I'm saying is the things that can be proven are like the era of between... When we get between the Romans and the different empires and the different kings and queens, monarchies, empires, everything, all of that, those kind of fit together with the Bible. That's what I was getting at when I said historically, because it fills in some of that detail. I'm not saying that it gives all the details on, Jesus from 12 to 30, because there's nothing there. And again, a lot of it's faith-based, just like, a lot of science is on beliefs and hypothesis that they're trying to prove. And it may not be provable. That's the other thing. So, and as far as translation is concerned, yes, there could be things mixed up, but I believe that the denomination I follow is probably the closest to biblically correct as possible, especially when you consider all of the pagan and all of the additions made later by other denominations. Well, there's one specifically that's got their quote-unquote God on earth, which is not biblically sound in the slightest. So I'm going to leave that whole topic there. Moving on, talking about the arrow having a brief flash forward in season 4 with the tombstone. Yes, it did have that. I would be more accustomed to having more of that show up in the near future. Wolverine joining the Avengers. This is Brad Mull telling me this with a question mark. I enjoyed the first Avengers, but aren't a fan of Part 2 or Civil War. I have to agree. Mainly because adding more characters to the team, it just feels bloated. I wouldn't want that for Logan, but I know I'm in the minority there. I agree. I mean, if they would have done the universe a little bit differently, I think it could have worked, but yeah. He says, as far as PewDiePie, I'm a sub of his. I enjoy his playthrough videos, especially his latest Resident Evil walkthrough. That's where it stops for me. I don't know him or what goes on behind the scenes. I don't really care about YouTube politics. I'm there for content, not the drama. I agree with you 100% there. If I see a lot of the drama or the politics, I leave. It's kind of like social media right now. Any chance I get to avoid it because of political, either idiotic things people say or things people believe or things I believe or things I don't believe, I don't even jump into any of the conversation because I don't want to have a politics battle with anyone. I have my beliefs. I'm going to keep them in my head. That's all there is to it. And that's the same thing for like a lot of stuff. Because like if you're not politically correct in today's world, you're an outcast. And I don't care for politically correctness, as been stated previously in an episode of the show, because I think it's total garbage. But I feel like people get butthurt over a lot of stuff and just can't take it. And yes, technically I could be considered in that too. I mean, from my previous comment, but I'm trying to defend it in a way that I can articulate it without sounding like a complete dick. Because I don't want to sound like that. I like the conversation. I like being challenged, but I'm going to leave that there. So yeah, what do you guys want to hear for next week's episode? What kind of content? I'm kind of looking for different stuff. I'm going to be looking into some hosts joining me. I'm not quite sure who, but I kind of want to go a little bit different direction with some things. There will be a new All Things Transformers coming soon. Not sure when, but I should be recording that in a couple days. I might talk about like something with like comics and things that my kids are being raised with. I might bring up some new things I'm considering for the site and so on. or ideas, I should say. But yeah, just let me know what you guys want to hear in the next episode. I'd really be looking forward to hearing it. No matter what it is, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm content with dropping the topic because it's an agree to disagree. So we'll just see where that goes on its own. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else. I am going to play a quick clip at the end of the episode after the credits of the assignment I turned in for my class, and it has to do with the anti-bullying thing that I did for class. We had to do kind of a NPR type style newscast. And I recut a 2012 conversation with Dustin Vancour and Mike the Birdman Dodd, and myself and TFG1. I just cut myself and TFG1 out, and I redid it and cut down this 52-minute episode down to 3 minutes for this assignment. And it's kind of enlightening to see how Geekcast Radio Network has been able to tell the future in the last 5 years. Almost all of the content from 2012, not almost all, but certain episodes of Geekcast Radio, whether it be the Marvel and Star Wars, Marvel, and Lucasfilm joining Disney. There was a couple other things I can't remember. Somebody called me on a while ago. And then there was Dodd about, he thinks that society is going to get worse as far as bullying and everything else, which we can see how that ended up on social media now, in real life. So I think it's very fitting. So I'm going to leave that at the end of the episode here. So until next time, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks. Over the past decade, the internet has given rise to the growth of cyberbullying. In light of the recent presidential elections, it has become even more of an issue throughout mainstream and social media. To further spotlight the issue of bullying, I reached out to someone from the geek community who dealt with these issues in the pre-internet era. Dustin Vancour is currently working on an anti-bullying awareness video. What caused you to decide on this project?
Well, I think a big part of the nerd and geek community is people who tend to be, or at least have grown up being bullied in some type of way. If you were into something that wasn't the quote-unquote norm, you may have gotten picked on for it. Or, your looks, what you like, what you feel, people would poke at you. And so the general idea was to reach out to as many people as I possibly could in the internet community. The overall response has been positive. I just haven't received too many submissions yet.
Dustin explains to me the many situations where he was teased and bullied when he was younger, and in one particular situation, how the problem rectified itself years later. He explained how when people are disagreeing with others and their views, the difference between tolerance and acceptance.
You can accept people for who they are. You may not necessarily like it, but you can accept it, whereas tolerance, it still sounds like it has like a breaking point somewhere. You can only be tolerant to a certain point.
I proceeded to reach out on the internet to see if anyone else had similar experiences with bullying or ideas on how it's gotten this bad. I received this response from Canadian Michael Dodd.
I can tell you precisely why this is happening, and you're not going to like the answer either. I think the big problem is nobody respects each other, and because there's no respect and no fear, the only option is either passive, just let it happen, or aggressive. There is no repercussions. I blame a lot of the media.
Michael Dodd continues to explain how he's been around since the beginning of cyberbullying, and how even today he's a victim of cyberbullying through his job in the media. Do you think we'll see bullying or cyberbullying improve in the future?
I think it's only going to get worse, truthfully. I mean, our society is soft. I wish things were different. I really do. I don't know what we can do unless we do a complete 180 as a society. Unfortunately, the body count's going to continue to rise.
Do you think there are any good people out there willing to overcome bullying or bullying of other people?
I believe in good persons. I do not believe in good people. The distinction being, the individual can be convinced. The individual can change for the better. The people are an ignorant mass that follow the path of least resistance. And that's unfortunately what we have to look at.
So as you can see, we still have a long way to go in battling bullying as a society, whether in person or on the internet. But with people like Dustin attempting to bring more awareness to the public, he gives a breath of fresh air in this cause. From MCC News, this has been Stephen Phillips reporting.